Many think of Buick as an old person's brand, maybe something your mom and dad would drive, or maybe your grandparents even. Well, over the past few years, Buick has done a great job transforming their brand and their lineup to appeal to younger buyers like maybe you. This is a good example. This is the latest Buick Envision. And today we're going to find out if you're shopping for a compact premium SUV, if this one should be on your list. When I first saw the Envision, I have to say I was pleasantly surprised. It really does have a nice premium look, especially in this gray color. This happens to have the Sport Touring package, the ST, so you get a lot of dark accents. So I kind of find that it has a little bit of a Porsche Macan look, which is not a bad thing. I am a fan of the Porsche Macan. Up front, you have that Buick logo in the center, but that black trim does work quite well with the chrome here. You do have these faux intakes here. They do not go through, but they do look good. Standard are LED headlamps. This also has side projector beams as well, so when you're making those turns, it will project light to the side on either side. Standard, you get 18-inch wheels on the base trim. If you go up to the Essence package and the ST or the Avenir, which is their top trim, you get 20-inch wheels. And as we were mentioning, you have more black around the wheel arches, the mirror caps, around the door frame here. The door handles are color matched to the body, and you have the black and chrome on the rockers here. Now you do get the keyless proximity entrance on here, so there is a button here, so hit that or hit the button to lock, and that extends to the rear doors as well. There is a button on the rear doors, so you don't have to open the front one first. It's accessible for both doors here. One thing that I often forget to mention is a feature that I am a big fan of, and this one is equipped with that, or not equipped. Anyways, it's a capless filler, so there is no fuel cap to put on there. Great feature. Continue on to the back, you have LED tail lamps. Those are standard. And underneath the roof spoiler, you'll notice there is an additional camera, and that is for your rear view camera, which can be equipped on the Envision. There is also another camera right underneath the Buick logo here, and that's for your regular rear view camera here. You have more black accents with the gray, and this seems to be kind of a trend right now where you have these exhaust outlets here, but they actually are not exhaust outlets. They're totally solid. The exhaust comes out underneath the rear valence here. All Envisions come standard with a power lift gate, and this is also has the hands-free option, so you just kick it. If it was darker right now, you would see that a Buick logo is projected onto the ground, showing you where to put your foot, but once you get used to it, you know where it is. This one here, it's right about there, a little kick, and up it comes. Now, once it's open, you'll see that there is a decent amount of cargo area. It's quite squared off the opening, so wider objects should have no problem getting in here. If you want to store anything below there, there's a little bit of room, but mainly that's for your 17-inch spare tire. You do have hooks on either side for your bags. Big fan of that. There's a 12-volt outlet, and there's 60/40 splitting seats for the rear seats there. Now take note, there is no release for those seats in the rear, so you will have to go on the top of the seats just to push that button and push them forward. So let's talk about the inside, starting from what we are sitting on. The seats here they come standard with 8-way power adjustable seats for both passenger and driver. There is an actual memory setting here, so if you have multiple drivers, that's good. So you have 2 memory settings. Also standard is a 4.2-inch information display in between the analog gauges, but if you go up to the Essence trim like we have here or higher, you get an 8-inch color display. Very easy to use with the buttons on the steering wheel. You also can get a head-up display, full color. That's very nice. And one thing I do like about this GM system is that you have 3 dedicated buttons for the HUD, the head-up display. So you can adjust it for the tilt, you can adjust the brightness of it without going through menus, and that's really important for me. A lot of times, you know, you might be sitting a little taller some days you might be slouching, so you might want to adjust that. Standard on all trim levels is a 10.2-inch color display, and what I think is kind of cool is that it has 2 knobs and a button onto the left side. So you have your power and your volume, you have your home button, and then you have a selector wheel or knob. And when the vehicle is off, they're all black, and it looks very, very clean. And when you turn them on, they have backlight. Now, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto come standard, and they're both wireless. So that is a big bonus for anyone that wants to have the ultimate connectivity without having to hook their phone in. This is also equipped with Amazon's Alexa. So whatever you do with your regular Alexa at home, you could basically do it in the vehicle. Let's say you're driving home and you want to have your lights on when you come home, or turn the heat up, or start your crock pot. So whatever you have your Alexa connected to, you can actually do through your car. That's pretty cool. And this whole setup, including the clean look of the temperature controls, really reminds me of a Cadillac. This is definitely a Cadillac-esque for sure. You can get wireless charging. This does come with a USB-C and a Type A plug in the middle. Moving on to the middle console, you do have a push button or pull button transmission selector. So certain ones like park, neutral, and going to manual are push buttons. Meanwhile, reverse and drive are pull tabs that you actually pull up. It actually really makes sense. Storage-wise, you have some pretty good, deep, wide pockets in the door. Bottle of water easily fits in there. You could probably put 4 bottles of water in there. And in the center, you have a butterfly opening cargo compartment. And what's nice about that, it's accessible for everyone, the driver, passenger, even people in the back. All Envisions come standard with heated front seats as well as a heated steering wheel. Depending on what package you get, you can also get heated rear seats. They have a new trim called Avenir, and that's for if you want everything, well, that's the one you're gonna get. You'll get the head-up display, you'll get the leather seats, heated rear seats, the surround vision, the wireless charging, the pano roof, which this one does not have. The back is actually quite spacious. This seat is set to where I would sit. I've said this before, I'm almost 5'11", kind of shrinking by now, but lots of foot room. Some vehicles actually give you a very, very little room for your actual height of where your feet are, but this one has a lot of room, decent amount of leg room, and also good shoulder room here. A third person in the middle would be tight here though. There is a small hump. One thing to note though, that there is some hard plastic on the lower bits of this Envision, and I don't know if it's because of the color or not, but it seems like it can scuff up fairly easy. Maybe if it was more of a beige, but this gray just kind of shows a lot of the foot marks. But you do have a Type C and a Type A USB here, and as I mentioned, this one does have heated rear seats as well. But decent amount of headroom, leg room, shoulder room. This would be perfect for 4 adults, no problem. Woo! This thing has got some pep to it. But before we actually tell you what's under the hood and driving this new Envision, we have a little bit of birthday business to take care of, because in the back seat we have a birthday girl, and she has outgrown her bicycle that will be handed down to her little sister. So we're on the hunt for a new bike for her, and we'll maybe if we find one, we'll put this Envision to the test for its utility. So there we go, mission accomplished. We found a bicycle. And by the way, in case you're wondering, a 24-inch bike will fit in the back of this Envision without removing the front tire and still having room for 1 passenger. So on to the rest of the review. So driving this Envision is a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo, puts out 228 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque, and that's matched to a 9-speed automatic transmission. And what's nice about this engine though is the torque comes on just at around 1500 RPM. So once you press that pedal just a little bit and you feel it almost instantly. There's literally no lag whatsoever, and it makes it a lot peppier to drive. So when you're in and around town, the transmission's quite reactive. Right now we are in all-wheel drive. There is a drive mode selector in the center console, and so if we cycle through, we can see that we have Tour, we have all-wheel drive, we have Sport, and we have off-road. Now Tour will give you 2-wheel drive only, so that's just front-wheel drive, and of course all-wheel drive, that's self-explanatory. If we go into Sport mode, here we go here, that is also all-wheel drive, but it also changes some of the engine mapping and of course the transmission as well. One thing to note is that, and it's a nice thing, is this vehicle will start back up. When you start the vehicle back up, it just continues on the mode that you left it at. So it doesn't default to any particular mode, which is nice. So a lot of people will probably just want to go into all-wheel drive, and that's what I would recommend, especially if you are driving around, rainy climates like we are here in the West Coast. One thing that I did notice, if you're in front-wheel drive only, which is in touring mode, and if the roads are wet, for instance, where you have a lack of traction, so I went and I just put my foot to the floor. I was trying to accelerate onto an on-ramp. Now the traction control did kick in. However, if I continued pressing that throttle, it would get to the point where it would just stop completely sending any power to the front wheels because I was maxed out. So you just have to let off. Best thing though, just put it in all-wheel drive and you will not have that problem. When you put it into all-wheel drive, it makes such a big difference for traction, especially in slippery conditions. The tuning of the suspension is fairly balanced on this vehicle, so you do get, there is a little bit of compliance and like not bounciness, but it is stiff enough for some engaging driving. If you go up to the very top Avenir model, you do get adaptive suspension. But otherwise, they did a fairly good job balancing it for regular comfort and for some spirited driving. And the suspension is fairly quiet, and that's also due to a brand new 5-link rear suspension that they have for this new Envision. Official fuel economy numbers for all-wheel drive are quite respectable, 10.5 liters per 100K in the city and 8.2 on the highway. Overall, I'm quite pleased with the handling of this new Envision. I didn't know what to expect. I got in here and I was pleasantly surprised. This really is not your grandpa's Buick anymore. It's very, very nimble. You have a good amount of road feel to it, and like I said, with the suspension, it is balanced really nice for just a combination of everyday driving. And if you really want to step on it a little bit, you put it into sport mode and do some twisties, and you'll have a lot of fun in it. One thing that I didn't mention when we talked about the interior is the placement of the 10.2-inch screen in the center. And yes, it's in the center. However, they've actually slanted it inwards, which is kind of cool, actually. I have zero issue with any type of glare or anything, and it really sets it apart from other screens that are just straight up and down. I really do like the low RPM torque. It makes it very easy to drive. Now let's wrap it up. So do I think that this new Envision is a contender in the compact premium class? Absolutely. In fact, I'm actually quite surprised when it pulled up. I like the styling. I like the creature comforts inside. It has some nice luxurious appointments. It has a lot of technology, and the drive really surprised me. It's quite peppy and nimble. And starting right from the base model, it offers a lot of standard features. So the question is, do you envision this Buick in your driveway? Come on, I had to do it. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. We'll see you on the next Everyday Reviews. Safe driving.